The meaning of life. That's what everybody wants to know. That's something everybody wants to know. You have to make the effort. You have to make the effort to find out. In the Bible it says, "Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened unto you." And I think in the Quran it also says that if you have to go to China to find out, you should go to China. So what it means is that we have to go on this spiritual journey. Unless you take the trouble to find out what is the meaning of life, you will go through life just like an ordinary person, or just like an animal, just accept what comes. It's only those people who ask, what is the meaning of life? What is the purpose of life? Where did I come from? Where am I going? And you make the effort to search, that you will find. Last time I was like you. After I graduated, I was working with the government and they transferred me here and there. I was working in Johor for nearly 3 years. Then I was transferred back to KL for 2 years. Then I was transferred to Kuantan for 5 years. And when I was in Kuantan, I was living in this army camp with the army officers, because we were looking after the maintenance of the electrical and mechanical installations. So I used to go out with these army officers, supposed to have a happy life. But at night, I used to have unhappy dreams. I dream of ghosts and all that. So I was wondering why. Why am I dreaming of ghosts? Indicates that probably I'm not happy inside. But I should be happy, I thought, being a young bachelor. Then I thought, then I realized when I was young, I was very interested in the Catholic religion. When I was in school, I used to go to the chapel every day to pray. I was the type of person who was religiously inclined. But because of certain doubts, I separated myself from the religion. For many years, I didn't have any religion. So after I got transferred from place to place, then I began to realize I had this hollow inside me, a vacuum inside me. So I decided to go on a spiritual search. Went back to study the Bible. I studied the Quran, studied the Hindu books, yoga, Taoism, Sikhism, Baha'i, almost everything until I came to Buddhism. Then slowly I began to see that the Buddha's words were very true. When I was in Kuantan, I saw one by one some of the office people passing away. One man died of cancer slowly. He had cancer. He went for X-ray and all that. Radiation and chemotherapy and all that. And slowly he died. Another man was with us working. We were maintaining this engine in the septic tank. So they were working there. I saw this man go to one corner and crouch, holding his chest like that. So I knew that he wasn't well. So I let him just take a rest for half an hour. He was still crouched there. 45 minutes later, I went to him and asked him what's wrong. Then he told me, "Sakit, Tuan, sakit." He was clutching his heart. It was cold sweat. So I asked him whether he could walk. He said yes. I asked him to go into the room and lie down. So he phoned for a doctor to come. So the doctor examined him and said it was a heart attack. So he suggested that we get an ambulance. So about half an hour later, the ambulance came. So he had been lying for some time. So our place of work was about 10 miles from Kuantan. So the ambulance got him to Kuantan Hospital. But he thought he felt better. So he sat up to talk with the man who carried the stretcher. And after he passed away, the wife and the family had to vacate the government quarters. And she had to construct a little hut to house herself and her children and sell kueh to earn a livelihood. It was quite pitiful. Then another office worker He saved up some money. He bought a motorcycle, second-hand, from another office mate. First morning, he used the motorcycle. He went to work. He went to the masjid about 7 o'clock to pray. After praying, he was on his way back to his house to change his clothes to come to work. A van hit him from behind and dragged him under. So all his flesh peeled off. So when I came to the office about 8 o'clock, they said that this office mate had died. The corpse was in the hospital. So we all went to the hospital. And they had to ask a relative to identify the body. So the grandmother went to identify the body. When they opened up the body for the grandmother to see, she cried out, "Chuchu, chuchu, oh chuchu." You know, normally Malays, they're not supposed to cry when they see the corpse. But this old lady couldn't bear it. She shouted and cried. So it's very heartbreaking to see this old lady crying. But that was another one. Then another day we were working at the airfield, because we had to change the bulbs along the runway. So I was watching the men changing the bulbs. And then these Air Force, there was an Air Force airfield. So the Tabuan jets, they were training for a big day that was coming up. So these Tabuan jets came down like that one by one, And then this was like where the grandstand, where all the VIPs were supposed to be seated. So the jet would come down like that and then tilt the wings, From here, tilt the wings like that as a sign of respect. And then it will go up vertically. So one by one the jets came down. Then one came down, and then when it flipped the wings, it hit the ground and somersaulted and burst into flames. And when I watched it, I was surprised. I thought this is like a TV show. And then one of the men shouted, "You better lie on the ground, it might explode." So we all lay on the ground. Then the fire brigade came and put out the fire. Later we learned when the airplane somersaulted, one of the pilots was beheaded. Another one was burned to death. So all this was Dhamma in front of me. Another occasion, I was driving back to Kuala Lumpur from Kuantan to attend an office meeting. So, the East Coast roads are very lonely. Very few cars. So I was near Maran. So it was winding, a lot of hills. So I was following a 10-wheeler lorry, a big trailer, 10 wheels. So because the road was winding, I couldn't overtake the lorry, so I was following him. Suddenly I saw from the other side a motorcycle come. And then in the middle of the road was a rock. So the motorcycle hit the rock. I went over to the other side of the road. And this lorry hit him. He fell down. So I stopped the car, I jumped out, thought I want to help this man. By the time I came to this man, I saw because of the concussion, his helmet flew off. And then the top part of his skull just opened up. They hit him so hard that the skull just opened up. They could see the white brain. And the white brain suddenly turned red. All the blood flowed out. And this guy was shaking like a dying rat. So I just, for him, chanted. I stopped the lorry and came down, and when he saw this man, he got shocked. Told me on the number. Chanted until 5 months, and then I reported the matter. They asked me to make a statement, so I made a statement. Then I went on my way, and they never called me back. This was Dhamma. At that time, I was just learning the Dhamma. And all this came to me that so impermanent. So from there, I was meaning to do in life is to become a monk and to practice cultivation. You have to find out the meaning yourself. What you want to do of life in this world. Different people came and they come.